This is Area 51. Today we are going to show you the cards that everybody wants out of Yu-Gi-Oh's newest set, Dawn and Majesty. We're also going to open up a case, 12 booster boxes, 288 booster packs of the new set, and show you what you might get out of your boxes right here at Area 51 TCG. Surprise, it's time for Dawn and Majesty. Personally, I'm still riding a bit high from King's Court, but it's not my fault. There was so much great support for the Poker Night cards. How was I supposed to not get all obsessed? There's a lot to unpack in Dawn and Majesty, I'll admit. Some of my favorites are way too far out of the purview of the common duelist. Me personally, I'm looking forward to the Gusto cards and DDD Different Dimension Derby for literally no reason. I think that's partly because every time I look over the set list, I'm surprised at how much stuff I'm actually looking forward to. I really like the Chronomali cards, but seeing the full Dawn and Majesty spoilers made me want to play Live Twins again. I also want to play High Ritual Art. I'm feeling pretty frisky right now. Oh, and the Gizmegs? Cards are good. Next time, I'll just write on the 37 cards everybody wants. But for now, here's the top 10. Number 10, Ready Fusion. This is a good example of a card everybody wants, but sadly might be priced out of. Ready Fusion's almost strictly a worse version of Instant Fusion, but it exists because Instant Fusion's such a powerful card that even a scaled down version is highly playable. And hey, a free summon. Alvain, the Essence of Vanity, is a Fairy Fusion non-effect tuner, also coming in Dawn and Majesty, but Ready Fusion works with any non-effect fusion monster of compatible level. If you wondered why Quagar Hercules got bought out this week, this card is why. There's no one specific combo I've seen that's wowed me, but Ready Fusion does expand the pool of monsters that you can get to for just 1,000 life points. Unlike Instant Fusion, which caps out at level 5s, Ready Fusion lets you special summon level 6 monsters as well. I don't think Instant Fusion will get banned just because Ready Fusion exists. Rather, Ready Fusion can be used for combos, while Instant Fusion can bring out actual good monsters that troubleshoot the field and offer aggressive effects. That might mean an even tighter extra deck, but if you need to combo off, it'll be worth it. I hope Ready Fusion dies down in price, but the fact is, it's a secret rare. It doesn't have me feeling optimistic for the time being. Number 9, Jar of Generosity. We've come full meme circle, haven't we? This card is awful, and I'm not eager to talk about which cards are the worst in Yu-Gi-Oh! Because the title probably goes to Innervating Mist. I'm pretty sure the reason people want this card is just to laugh at it, though it's possible that burning it may play a central role in some sort of ceremonial rite to ward off bad pulls. Expect to see it at your local in the front page of that one dude's binder who's always sleeves up his favorite bad cards just for laughs. I know someone whose trade binder was literally 60% I'm Aruka just cuz. That guy's gonna love this thing. Number 8, Anti-Human Intelligence, Misaya. Back to competitive cards, Anti-Human reminds me why pendulums are so great. Many modern spells and traps have dual effects, banishing themselves from the graveyard for a second chance at life, and this cuts them off completely. Also, it's a pendulum scale 0, a subsect of cards that's pretty small. So even if you just use it as a pendulum monster for its low scale and banishing effect, congrats, you've made it. Pack it on up and get out of here. Messiah's also got a way to cheat itself into play so it can serve as a level 8 body. That's nice, options are good, but if you desperately wanted a level 8 on the field, there are probably better ways to do it. The last effect to send monsters away during the end phase, if they survive that long, is cool, I guess. But those are really just added bonuses. It's a very solid card with forgiving range of effects, all of which add up to a lot of utility to keep it useful at all times. Number 7, B-Trooper Scout Buggy. Hey, remember Battle Wasps? You might remember them from such highlights as me mocking them every other week for half of a year. They were an attempt to make an aggressive attack-based insect theme, and it just never took off. It would have helped if they had better cards, but I digress. Bee Troopers are basically what Battle Wasps promised to be. While they only have a handful of monsters at the moment, I think it's safe to say that every card in the theme is solid. Scout Buggy was the theme's first reveal, so it's carrying the bulk of the hype on its back. Don't get me wrong, Bee Trooper Invincible Atlas is quite a foreboding card. Scout Buggy's just great for Bee Troopers decks and other insect decks. That sets it apart. Insects had very little time to shine in competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Outside the madness that was Insectors in 2012. There are barely more than 200 insect monsters total, and themes like digital bugs, crawlers, battle wasps are some of the best insect archetypes going, which kind of says a lot about the state of competitive insects. You're talking to one of the few people that's tried several times to make Ultimate Insect work. So, Bee Trooper Scout Buggy might be the kick in the pants that insects needed. There's Idos of generic insect support, hasn't done much competitively, but the Bee Troopers champion by Scout Buggy may be those worm baits you've had in a shoebox in your closet will finally be part of a competitive strategy. Number 6, Gunkin Sous Ship Sherry. We're getting 5 Sous Ship cards in Dawn of Majesty, but Gunkin Sous Ship Sherry still confuses me. Why are we getting sushi cards? I'm not complaining. I just want pun-related answers. The Sous Ships are another take on Rank 4 deck. And this time around, it's a family, literal sushi boats that hinge around Gunkin Sous Ship Sherry, a level 4 normal that's vital to the rest of the deck. All 5 Sous Ship cards released in Dawn of Majesty either mention Sous Ship Sherry or are Sous Ship Sherry. Looking ahead to Burst of Destiny, that's not changing anytime soon. I'm not sure if there's legitimate competitive hype for these cards or if it's just a kitsch deck people want to play for kicks, but I'll admit that the strategy's actual playability and bordering on being pretty good. It's a decent rank 4 suite that puts in effort to play its flagship monster while also compensating you for burning through your key cards. Gunkin Sous Ship Ikura class Dreadnought is the first Sous Ship XYZ monster that, at worst, draws a card when you lean into normal monsters. The Lone Trap Gunkin Sous Ship Daily Special mimics Daigusto Emerald to help you reuse Sherry. Even their field spell controls what you draw and excavate. A mouthful named Gunkin Sous Ship Seaside Super Support, guaranteeing a theme a certain level of consistency. Woo! Can I stop saying Sous Ship now? Thank you. Number 5, Klafkius the Magikey Sky Blaster. Why are 2 level 4 normal monsters in a top 10 list? Probably because the decks crumble without them. I'll be honest, I don't think pure Magikey is anything to write home about with Dawn of Majesty alone. The Magikeys combine rituals, fusion, and Xyz with a hint of synchro summoning coming down the line. But to get all that, you need to deal with normal monsters and mismatching extra deck monsters. And if you do, you're not rewarded with any particularly busted boards. But there are some extremely powerful cards in the theme. Magikey Mafti, the driving force for the deck, is a hybrid between Shadal Fusion and Advanced Ritual Art. Imagine that upon release, the only Shadal extra deck monster was El Shadal Wendigo. You might roll your eyes at the lack of boss monsters, but hey, that Shadal Fusion looks pretty neat. Might as well buy 10 trillion of them. That's how I feel about Magikeys. The ideas behind the deck are intriguing and have potential, but I feel like we're missing something that's just around the corner. Burst of Destiny, the core booster set following Dawn of Majesty, promises a synchro for the theme, but I think Magikeys will keep getting more developed from over time. Number 4, the Iris Soul Sword. So hand traps are getting pretty weird, huh? Long story short, Dogmatica Fleur-de-Lis the Knighted got tired of being jerked around, so she's become a different type of warrior. Made some weird gremlin friends in the desert, beat up a snake, punched some theater kids in the face, all normal things you would do when your whole life's been uprooted, right? Ironically, Iris's effect is basically a counter to the Dogmatica version of herself. It's like present day you're looking back at an old embarrassing photo and deleting it. Not something I've ever done, mind you. We're just talking about Iris here. Move along. Despite all the hype I've seen for the Iris Sword Soul, I'm not 100% sure how it will fit into actual decks. It's a great free body to mount comebacks with, and it can cripple your opponent's strategy as an unexpected monster played from your hand. But it's not as flexible or as easy to play as Ash Blossom. Virtually nothing matches Ash Blossom. Well, maybe Maxi. While it's great for the sort of comeback again, it's also a counter to your opponent's counters. Dark Ruler No More and Forbidden Droplet are blanket negations for your whole field, but surprise, Iris explodes out of your hand to ruin everything and save the day. So, you'll make a board that has multiple counters on it. Your opponent will counter that with a card that can't be countered. Then you'll counter that with a card from your hand. It's like counter, but it's monster form. Number 3, Synchro Overtake. Synchro Overtake, being a secret rare, is practically a hate crime. I'm a touch upset about it, if that statement wasn't clear. This thing lines up with about 20 different cards, but most of them are either forbidden, locked away in the extra deck, already searchable, or bad. Technically, this can search Deep Sea Diva, but most broken combos with Diva involve extra deck monsters beyond just Synchros. Synchro Overtake's restrictions heavily dampen what you can do with your turn after you activate it, but for those strategies that can use it, wow, it is an ever fantastic card. It limits the number of copies of the card you're searching, sure, but by the way, it can special summon the card you fetch, not just get it to your hand. And yes, it can revive Stardust Dragon, since Stardust Dragon is listed on several different Synchro monsters. Huzzah! Another reason for it to be so damn expensive. Number 2, Aluber the Jester of Despia. We're nearing the end of Dogmatica world building with support for the Despia and branded themes. Of all the Despia cards, Aluber has proven to be the most expensive so far in pre-sales. Its first effect nets you a branded support card from your deck when you summon it, which is obviously a good way to mitigate the number of cloggy cards you have to run. But its second effect makes it recursive enough to be a big threat as well. The entire Dogmatica story arc has centered around Fallen Albaz and his various fusion summons. Despia Theater, the branded, continues that theme. Fusions have tied together lots of archetypes over the years, including Spring-Ins and Tri-Brigade, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Probably won't deviate from that anytime soon. Mashing up different storylines by literally fusing them together is a staple of the brand. But back to Aluber. That second effect makes it a powerhouse that helps you fight back whenever your monsters are destroyed. If your opponent ever gets rid of your fusion monster, you'll revive Aluber from the graveyard, and in the process trigger its 2 effects. You'll negate a monster on your opponent controls, and search another branded card. While that won't win the game on its own, it's definitely a recursive game changer. There are plenty of cards that return to the field when your monsters are destroyed, but imagine if Elemental Hero Stratos did something similar, coming back for a free search, acting as a chump blocker to stop damage and negate monster effect. That's pretty good, isn't it? If you're planning to play some sort of high-level fusion that can leverage Aluber and the branded cards, owning a playset of Jester seems like a decent idea. Unfortunately, you and I aren't the only people who feel that way, and we can expect that card to remain up there in value. With that said, the price tag's definitely worth it. And number 1 on our list, Starlight Rare, Stardust Dragon. Yes, I pulled a sneaky one on you. You thought I was going to mention Stardust cards in the Stardust Dragon set, and then bam, right at the last second. Luxury chase rares are nothing new, but this is the first time we've had a Starlight Rare upgrade of a classic card that was so closely tied to the set. Effect Veiler and Eternity Code, DD Crow and Rise of the Duelist, Black Rose Dragon. All cool cards, but none of them were central to the mythos of their respective releases. This is the first time the reprint Starlight slot's been emblematic of the set it appears in. And for some reason, it feels right to start that off with Stardust Dragon. Despite being a flagship monster for the protagonist Yusai Fudo, and being a great card on its own, virtually all of the Stardust Dragon support over the years has been mediocre. Most of the Stardust cards were barely compatible with Stardust Dragon itself, with Starlight Road the only real exception. It wasn't much to build a whole theme around. But this reveal hits different in Dawn of Majesty. Starlight Rare Stardust Dragon has plenty of allure for nostalgic collectors, but there's a real incentive for competitive types to go after this card. When Book of Moon was the staple, the super rare from Champion Pack Game 1 was the biggest flex move in tournaments. Heck, it's still a pretty big, huge in GOAT format. So if you're a max rarity competitor, there's a good chance you'll want this version of Stardust down the line, trumping even the collector's rare and the original Ghost Rare. With collectible pedigree, competitive history, and a future that could set it back in the tournament tables in the future, Stardust Dragon's my pick for number 1. Well, that's it for today's video. Please like, comment, share, follow, subscribe, all that stuff. And we'll see you next time, Area 51 TCG.